Oxford Research provides knowledge for a better society. We do so by combining research, communication and strategy in evaluations, in analysis and in facilitating change. But what does knowledge for a better society actually mean? In Norway, a major regional reform will be implemented in 2020. Cultural policy will, to some extent at least, be delegated from the national level to the new counties. And Oxford Research did the mapping of competences and activities in the present municipalities to advise on what could be the new division of labour in Norwegian cultural policy. Our work was the foundation for the government white paper called The Power of Culture, and a change in Norway to get culture closer to people and to involve more people in cultural activities.
So out of this project here, the counties has demonstrated that they have competences, they have the people and resources to actually take part in this new process and also actually handle the new responsibility of new tasks. Some of them have actually also started their own projects where also we are involved, some of them, and they have also started to rethink the way we use culture as a tool for regional development.
In Norway, we are also evaluating a grant scheme for substance and alcohol abusers. The impact of this work is giving the abusers a voice, it's improving the support they get to reduce or quit their abuse, it's making the work easier for local organizations and for people who work directly with drug and alcohol abusers. And it is making public spending more efficient.
I think it's really inspiring, mostly because it takes a lot of time and we spend a lot of hours on doing small things, and I've been collecting that data from the reports, which has taken me so many hours, but at the end I know that there will come something good out of this. And all the hours that I spend and all the hours the other team members spend will actually be doing a difference, hopefully. And I think that's really inspiring. So for me, it means a lot to know that what we're actually working with actually has an impact on the society.
In the Baltics, we have done a study on gender budgeting in municipalities, and you may wonder, what is the gender issue in how municipalities do their budgeting?
There is a huge problem, and the problem is that societal resources, or in other words, tax money, is distributed unequally and unevenly between the two genders. Let's take sport, for instance, where municipalities are spending quite a lot of money. And we had one very, very good example from municipality in Latvia, where we realized that only a very small fraction of the money spent on sports provided some benefits for women. More than 90% of this money provided some benefits for men. The outcome of the project was not only interesting, but really very novel and very strong, I would even say, and recommendations we could make for both governmental and municipal institutions were so explicitly clear and beneficial for the society that the results made us really very proud of what we have found out. And also the comments from both client and other institutions were that, look guys, you have done something amazing. No one else in Latvia did something like that before. It was an eye-opener, and we do expect that your research and your contribution will provide some impact in the future in terms of more equal and fair distribution of societal wealth.
In Sweden, we've done a project on what happens to asylum-seeking minors that disappears in Sweden after having arrived and being registered, but then suddenly gone missing. The project led to a better coordination between different organizations involved, new routines, procedures, and accordingly, better actions to protect asylum-seeking minors from being abducted to organized crime.
Being part of this project, that ultimately means that less minors go missing when they come here. How does it make you feel?
I mean, it makes me proud of the work I do on a daily basis. You know, I mean, the tasks that you perform on a daily basis can be so, I mean, some of them are even menial, but they build up to something that is much greater than just those small parts that you see day to day. So being able to see what this actually results in makes me, I mean, very happy.
The Oxford project covers many fields. Another example is work that we do for the Swedish Radiation Safety Authority. One of the challenges in this field is the increasing lack of competence in radiation safety, partly because education in this field is less attractive to young people who see nuclear production basically being dismantled in the years to come.
What we're doing is we're taking a very fact-based approach, where previously there might have been, well, a lot of, in academia for example, they have this feeling that, well, there's fewer people studying and we're not getting the kind of funding, but you're not really sure of how much of this is actually their subjective feeling of, well, everyone wants more money, right? And how much of this is based on fact. So being able to present, for lack of a better word, kind of more evidence-based approach to say, well, this is the situation right now based on this very extensive data collection and collation and analysis, that this is the situation that we're in right now. And obviously, if you're going to take some kind of action, you need to know what the situation is and how you expect the situation to play out. It's obviously exciting to know that the work that we do has an impact and has the potential to make an impact at so many different levels as well. Of course, it's always difficult to see, is this going to get picked up? Technically, when the report was delivered to the government, there was no government, but there is now. And so to see how this is going to pan out in the end is very exciting. And I think that there is quite a lot of potential that it will end up having some long-term effects on how we manage and work with these kinds of issues.
In additive manufacturing, more commonly known as 3D printing, we made a mapping of the capacity in Sweden.
So basically there is great potential in the implementation of additive manufacturing technologies in many industries, and especially in many of the industries that are present in central Sweden, such as automobile, aerospace, space, medical appliances and medicine. And additive manufacturing has been called a so-called disruptive technology with the potential to initiate a new industrial revolution. So there's really a great potential in the implementation of this technology. Our main recommendation in our final report to the region was that they should come together for a joint effort within the field of additive manufacturing. In the long run, I would say that our mapping contributed to a more competitive industry in Sweden, more employment, more exports, of course, and more highly competitive production of different high-value industry goods.
We also play an important role in the European development. For Eurofund, a European institution in Dublin, who work for the improvement of working and living conditions in Europe, we contributed to a mapping of conditions for parental leave in Europe.
So the Nordic countries, particularly our countries that we were mapping, Sweden, Finland and Denmark, were actually the best countries in that study in terms of uptake of paternity leave for fathers. Sweden was actually in the top, which is great, I think. But there are still a lot of things to do in Scandinavian countries as well, and in Sweden as well. For instance, you can see that those fathers who actually take the parental leave is fathers who work in white-collar professions, and as well as fathers living in the bigger cities, such as the capital Stockholm. We helped the Commission to to come up with certain directives just by looking at the numbers and seeing the policies in the different EU member states, getting much more inspired, so to say. So as a result, there are some directives now at EU level, thanks to this study, I would say. And yes, we did indeed help more fathers or we enable them to take more days off. I felt when I was doing this study that this is a very, very important subject, both for the society in general, but for me personally, being a woman, so to say, a woman with a researcher career, I guess. And it is indeed very hard to combine your private life and your working life. And I can't even imagine having a children in the future with the type of work we're doing now. So this was a really personal question, and I felt that I was really contributing something good in this field, acknowledging really good reforms in the past and the statistics and the research.
In the field of gender equality, we also done recent study in the Finnish Parliament.
Well, the project was to find out how the Finnish MPs think themselves about the gender equality and its realization in the Finnish Parliament. And we had an exemplary study from Sweden, where they had already done so, and we got the assignment to do the same thing basically here in Finland.
We actually found out pretty strong evidence, for example, that men trust other men more and they work with other men more than they do with other women. So it ends up this kind of a circle that men actually end up in the most influential places still, even though that nobody's anymore like directly thinking that I don't want you here because of your like gender. Best thing like a researcher can hope for ever is to actually see that you have contributed for like wider society.
From Parliament to local handball clubs in Denmark, Crown Princess Mary's Foundation has worked with Mikkel Hansen, best handball player in the world, to develop concepts and tools to reduce bullying in handball clubs. Our job was to adjust the concept so it actually works as intended.
The impact of the concept is to have a lower extent of bullying in handball clubs. The impact of our contribution was that we adjusted the concept and make sure that it would actually fit the handball coaches and the children that was involved in the project. And the concept have made a more inclusive environment in handball clubs. And that's something to be proud of, I think.
Talking about lack of well-being, 25% of all young girls in Denmark strive with lack of well-being. For young boys, the share is less, though still concerning.
Well, Headspace is a project where an organization called the Social Network wanted to do counseling services for young people between 12 and 25 who do not thrive. So that could be small as well as big issues, love sickness, exam anxiety, or even depressions and suicide thoughts. We could show that their well-being was rising. Well, we can see today that the number of centers have tripled. So, of course, Headspace has used our evaluation to go to other municipalities and say, well, we could actually document that this works. This is both a preventive effort, but it's also an effort that could help with young people who are in a more serious matter of the bad mental health. So in that case, we can see that it spread out. I think it's very satisfying to know that here we have an issue that is very concerning for a whole generation, and then could be able to help both in the involving and also to document that this is a way to help them in a way that where they feel heard and respected and can be both preventive and also solving when it's more heavy issues.
Oxford Research provides knowledge for a better society, and it makes us proud when we see our impact.